Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with you. It is Monday morning and in the next 30 minutes you will get your daily morning dose of the biggest news stories from India and around the globe, starting with the headlines. Election Commission assures free and fair polls in Gujarat. VVPATs and EVMs to be used at all polling booths. Panel was in the state to review preparations. Prime Minister attacks Congress during a Gujarat campaign, says those who do not have internal party democracy cannot ensure it in the country. Rahul Gandhi questions Prime Minister over women's safety in Gujarat. Cyclone Oki claims 19 lives in Kerala, weakens and moves away from Lakshadweep towards Gujarat coast. Over 600 fishermen stranded in the sea rescued. And Sri Lanka to resume their first innings in reply against India at 131 for 3. High drama over air pollution in Delhi on Sunday forces India to declare the first innings at 536 for 7. First up, news on the upcoming assembly elections in Gujarat. The Election Commission has directed the election machinery to ensure free and fair polls in the state. The poll panel has said that both VVPAT machines and electronic voting machines will be used in all the voting booths of the 182 constituencies to ensure transparency. The Election Commission reviewed poll preparations in the state over the last 2 days. Chief Election Commissioner A.K. Jyoti, along with the senior officials of the Commission, met government and security officials to review preparations. The EC delegation also held a meeting with the representatives of main political parties to understand their concerns ahead of the first phase of polling. The polls will be held in 2 phases on 9th and 14th of December, and the counting of votes will take place on 18th of December.
As far as VVPATs are concerned, EV machines with VVPATs will be used in all the 50,264 polling stations of 182 assembly constituencies of the state. A VVPAT machine enables the voter to see the name of a candidate, the symbol of the candidate and the serial number of the candidate. All the vehicles which are being used by the flying squads or static surveillance teams have been fitted with the GPS to check their movement. A 24/7 control room has been set up in all the collector's office and the SP's office.
And in the run-up to the upcoming assembly elections in Gujarat, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is scheduled to address 4 rallies in the state today. Prime Minister Modi will address his first poll rally at Dharampur in Valsad district. Later, he will hold a public meeting at Bhavnagar district. From there, he will visit other Saurashtra regions, Junagadh, I beg your pardon, and Jamnagar. On Sunday, the Prime Minister addressed 3 public meetings at Bharuch, Surendranagar and Rajkot districts. At a rally in Bharuch, he addressed the people and said that the Congress party was seeking to divide society on the basis of caste and religion.
एक जाति ने બીજી જાતિ જોડે લડાવવાની, એક સંપ્રદાયના લોકોને બીજા સંપ્રદાયના લોકો સાથે લડાવવાના. તમે લડતા રહો, મરતા રહો અને કોંગ્રેસ મલાઈ ખાતી રહે.
The Prime Minister, who addressed a rally in Surendranagar, elaborated on the efforts of the BJP governments over the last 2 decades to improve the water situation in Saurashtra. He said that BJP's governance is inclusive and development oriented.
ઘરમાં જ લોકશાહી ના હોય તો દેશની લોકશાહીને આ લોકો કેવી રીતે સ્વીકારી શકે? આ કોંગ્રેસના ભૂતકાળ સામે જુઓ, આમાં કશું નવું નથી. પરંપરાગત રીતે આજ ચાલ્યું છે.
Later, the Prime Minister addressed a rally in Rajkot as well. There he mocked the Congress over GST and demonetization.
અમે આ નોટબંધી પછી બેંકોમાં જે ખણખોજ ચાલુ કરીને એમાં જે ચીજો શંકાસ્પદ પકડાણી 2.5 લાખ કંપનીઓને તાળા મારી દીધા 2.5 લાખ અરે બે કંપની બંધ થાય ને તો આ દેશમાં મોદીના પુતળા બળતા હોય 2.5 લાખ કંપનીઓ બંધ થઈ ગઈ કોઈ ચૂંચા નથી કરતો.
And Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi on a Sunday questioned Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the issue related to crime against women in Gujarat. This is the 5th question in the series, A Question a Day, that Rahul Gandhi has started. In a series of tweets, Rahul Gandhi demanded answers over the alleged failure of the BJP-led government in fulfilling the promises. He alleged that the state government has failed to provide safety, education and nutrition to the women. The Congress leader also accused the BJP leadership for disappointing Anganwadi and Asha workers. The BJP has countered Rahul Gandhi's charge.
भूतपूर्व विकास हुआ. आज आधा गुजरात अंधकार में डूबा है. मैं स्वयं वहाँ आदिवासी क्षेत्रों से जाके आया हूँ और सैकड़ों किलोमीटर हम चले हैं. शाम में रात में जब हम आए हैं कई जगहों से तो बिल्कुल अंधकार में डूबा हुआ, कोई बिजली नहीं है. शिक्षा का व्यापारीकरण उन्होंने कर दिया है. लोग अपने बच्चों को अच्छी शिक्षा नहीं दिला पाते क्योंकि बहुत ज़्यादा महंगी हो गई है. सरकारी स्कूल बंद हो रहे हैं.
And campaigning is on full swing for the assembly elections in Gujarat. The first phase of voting is slated this week on 9th of December. Now, BJP President Amit Shah will address 4 rallies in the state. Shah will hold a public meeting at Tapi. Later, he is scheduled to address rallies in Bardoli, Jalapur, in Navsari district and Ganjidevi. Meanwhile, former president of JDU, Sharad Yadav, will campaign for his candidates in the state. Janata Dal United's faction, led by him, will contest 7 of the 182 seats in Gujarat in alliance with the Congress party and under the banner of a newly formed regional outfit called a Rashtriya Tribal Party. Meanwhile, Samajwadi Party National President Akhilesh Yadav also will be addressing rallies in the poll-bound state for 4 days. The SP has fielded candidates from 5 assembly seats in Gujarat. On to some other news now. Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi will file his nomination for the party's presidential election. Now, Congress President Sonia Gandhi and former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh will be among the proposers for his candidature. Chief Ministers of 6 states are also expected to be present when Rahul Gandhi files his papers. Scrutiny of nominations will be held on 5th of December and the last day for withdrawal is 11th of December. Polling, if needed, will be held on 16th of December. Sonia Gandhi has held the post of Congress President for 19 years in a row. The election is not without its set of controversy. Party leader from Maharashtra, Shehzad Poonawalla, has alleged that the election is rigged. Now, following this, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also referred to the election in the Congress, saying that the results are fixed. The Congress reacted to the Prime Minister's charge by questioning the state of internal democracy within the BJP. And President Nath Kovind on Sunday emphasized that differently abled people should be evaluated on their intellect, knowledge and courage and not their physical ability. He was speaking at the National Award for Divyangjan 2017, organized on the occasion of the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. Speaking at the event in National Capital, the President cited various examples of differently abled people who won laurels despite facing several challenges. The National Award for Divyangjan were conferred for outstanding achievements and work done towards empowerment of persons with disabilities under 14 categories. The awards were organized by the Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities under the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment.
अष्टावक्र ऋषि या स्टीफन हॉकिंस का जीवन हमें एक महान संदेश देता है कि दिव्यांगता किसी व्यक्ति की कमजोरी नहीं बल्कि उसी की विशेषता हो सकती है. इसलिए व्यक्ति के शारीरिक सौंदर्य या उसकी आकर्षक शारीरिक बनावट या रंग रूप को महत्व न देकर उसके ज्ञान, विवेक, हिम्मत और उसके कौशल के आधार पर उसकी महानता देखनी चाहिए।
And Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has a call for an inclusive society with no discrimination against differently abled people. He said that people should treat the differently abled people with empathy and not sympathy. The Vice President was addressing the launch of the Deen Dayal Divyangjan scheme in Assam. Under the scheme, every differently abled person in the state would be entitled to a one-time grant of 5,000 rupees for their treatment. He asked the authorities to make public places accessible to them and called upon banks and financial institutions to provide loans to them in a simplified process. Assam Governor Jagdish Mukhi, Chief Minister Sarbanand Sonowal were also present on the occasion.
We should all warn them. They are part of our society. They are part of our family. That feeling has to be there in everybody. That's why there is a real need to have a change of mindset among the people. देश और दुनिया के कोई भी सभ्य समाज दिव्यांग जनों के प्रति भेदभाव नहीं सहेगा। उनको एक गौरवशाली जीवन देना हम सबका जिम्मेदारी है।
And in Breakfast News, time for a very short break. We'll be back with more news. Stay tuned.
There is a cliched term which is overzealously being used by men, women, a term like beauty with brain.
I've never used the term beauty with brains. I've always said that a human with a golden heart.
Juggling your workouts, your beauty regimes, along with just getting into the pages of the medicine books. How did you really manage?
I would tell that to myself 24 hours, each hour 60 minutes, each minute 60 seconds. You have to make most of it.
The ladies or the girls who win the Miss World title, generally their next destination becomes Bollywood.
Bollywood is fun, but I mean, I'm 20 right now. I have so many options ahead of me.
Shashi Tharoor, he's a very respectable politician, but he took a dig at your name.
It was just something he wanted to say, and I don't think I was really a part of it. I'm just a kid and I take jokes and I give back.
Your sweet little gesture where you shared your wardrobe with Miss South Africa.
Indians really know how to live together and women support each other, and that is something that is what Miss World is about.
Watch Open and Candid with Miss World 2017, Manashi Chillar, only on Rajya Sabha television. One of the most influential revolutionaries of Indian freedom struggle, Shaheed Bhagat Singh. Born into a Sikh family, patriotism flowed in his blood at the age of 13. When he formed Naujawan Bharat Sabha to spread the message of revolution in Punjab. In the wake of avenging Lala Rai's death, Bhagat Singh and his associates coined the catchphrase Inqilab Zindabad. But towards the end of their rebellion, they had to pay a heavy price for their patriotism. Following the blasts inside the corridors of the assembly, both Bhagat Singh and Batukeshwar Dutt courted arrest. Bhagat Singh was sent to the gallows in Lahore with his fellow comrades, after which he was cremated in Husainiwala on the banks of Satluj.
Hello and welcome. I'm Amritanshu Rai and you're watching Law of the Land.
Family draft lekar ke aiye, which covers all the aspect of marriage, nikah halala, maintenance, inheritance.
The government can step in and say that what is held to be illegal by the Supreme Court itself, we are just translating it into a law by making it punitive.
जो मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ बोर्ड ने कहा कि भाई ये हमारा रिलीजन है, इसलिए आप इसमें दखलंदाजी ना करें, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उसको रिजेक्ट किया।
Watch Law of the Land on Rajya Sabha television. The story we thought we knew. The story of magnificence. The story of bloody battles. Of those who ruled and those who left their footprints. The story charting the course of our past. Talking history on Rajya Sabha TV.
Welcome back after the break, and now an update on a cyclone Oki that has moved away from the Lakshadweep Islands towards the northwest direction. It is about 1,000 kilometers west of Surat and is likely to gradually weaken. The death toll due to the cyclone in Kerala has reached 19. Relief operations are in full swing in all the affected areas, and it will continue for 2 more weeks in Miniko and Kalpani Islands of Lakshadweep. The Met Department has issued a warning of heavy rainfall at isolated places over south of Gujarat. The fishermen have been advised to remain out of the sea. Meanwhile, Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman reviewed the search and rescue operations with senior officials. She assured the authorities all the help from the centre. On her arrival in Kanyakumari, Sitharaman also held discussions with the Deputy Chief Minister O. Paneerselvam, other ministers and officials. And Union Earth Sciences Minister Harshvardhan said that the IMD has issued its first alert to Kerala about heavy rains on 28th of November and a warning about the cyclone a day later. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar announced an assistance of 1 crore rupees to the island ravaged by the calamity. And North India is experiencing very cold conditions. Delhiites woke to a chilly morning with the minimum temperature settling at 8 degrees Celsius. A blanket of haze again enveloped Delhi on Sunday. The IMD has forecast possibility of light rains on 5th and 6th of December. Adhampur in Punjab recorded a biting 4.9 degrees Celsius minimum temperature as visibility dropped slightly at a few places in the state. Chandigarh recorded a low of 8.6 degrees Celsius. In Haryana, Hisar was the coldest place, recording a low of 5.6 degrees Celsius. And the night temperature across the Kashmir division, including Ladakh region, stayed below the freezing point last night. Srinagar recorded the minimum temperature of -2 degrees Celsius. The Met Department has forecast a further dip in the mercury owing to the dry weather over the next few days. And the first phase of the Chahbahar Port in Iran was inaugurated on Sunday by Iranian President Hassan Rouhani. Ministry of State for Shipping there, Pon Radhakrishnan, represented India at the inauguration of Phase 1 of the port at Chahbahar, which was also attended by representatives from Afghanistan and Qatar. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani called this port as a symbol of engagement and unity. He said that the port opens the doors for positive competition among nations. An Indian-Iran-Afghanistan ministerial level trilateral meeting on Chahbahar also took place. Over a month ago, India had sent its first consignment to wheat to Afghanistan by the sea through Chahbahar Port, marking the opening of the new transit route. And the much-awaited extradition hearing of a liquor tycoon Vijay Mallya is set off to kick off in central London from today. Over the next 2 days, the Chief Magistrate at the Westminster Magistrates Court will hear the case presented by Britain's Crown Prosecution Service on behalf of the Indian government. A team of CBI officers will also attend the extradition trial. Vijay Mallya, who had shifted to the UK in March 2016, is wanted in India on charges relating to his defunct Kingfisher Airlines defaulting on loans from various Indian banks amounting to 9,000 crore rupees. Vijay Mallya was arrested in London in April this year by the Scotland Yard, initially on fraud charges with money laundering charges added subsequently. He has been on bail since April. And news from the US, where President Donald Trump on Sunday lashed out at the FBI in a Twitter tirade, saying that the FBI's reputation was in tatters. Donald Trump's fresh salvo came after reports that an FBI agent was removed from special counsel Robert Mueller's team, which is investigating Russian election meddling because of anti-Trump text messages. The president seized on the officer's dismissal, tweeting, "Report, anti-Trump FBI agent led Clinton email probe. Now it all starts to make sense." The developments come days after the president's former national security advisor Michael Flynn pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI about his contact with the Russian officials during the US presidential election campaign. Flynn announced that he was cooperating with Mueller's investigation. And let's get you some more international news now in World Wrap. US Defense Secretary James Mattis will arrive in Pakistan today to hold talks with the civilian and military leadership on bilateral and regional issues. Ahead of his first visit to Pakistan as America's Defense Secretary, James Mattis said that the US wants Pakistan to act in its best interest and take action against terror safe havens. Relations between the US and Pakistan plummeted after President Donald Trump, in his new South Asia policy, chastised Pakistan over its alleged support to Afghan militants. The US-South Korea joint aerial drill, dubbed Vigilant Ace, will start from today. The exercise, that will continue till Friday, comes a week after North Korea launched a ballistic missile. About 12,000 US personnel from the Air Force, Marine Corps and Army, along with the 230 aircrafts, will take part in the drill. Meanwhile, North Korea has said that the US was begging for war by planning the largest ever joint aerial drills with South Korea. And Britain's Parliament will debate the Brexit withdrawal bill today and on a further 4 days in the month. However, there is much opposition to the bill, with media reports saying that Prime Minister Theresa May was ready to pay much of what the EU is demanding to settle the country's divorce bill to leave the bloc. Meanwhile, Theresa May is also due to meet European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker and the EU's chief negotiator for Brexit, Michael Barnier, in Brussels today. They will assess whether sufficient progress has been made on core issues of Brexit. Let's get you all the sporting action now, and Sri Lanka will continue their run chase on the third day of the final test match against India in Delhi at Stumps on Sunday. The visitors were 131 for 1 in response to India's first innings score of 536 for 7 declared. Virat Kohli was the top scorer with 243. In the process, he also became the first captain to score 6 test double hundreds, overtaking West Indies legend Brian Lara. The match had its share of controversy as well. In an unprecedented turn of events in the history of Test cricket, Sri Lanka held up play for about 26 minutes, complaining of poor air quality. The players wore anti-pollution masks while fielding and then refused to continue. This forced India to declare their innings. While the BCCI termed it as a deliberate tactic by the Lankan side, the Sri Lankan interim coach said that the two of their players fell ill inside the dressing room because of the pollution. The Central Pollution Control Board has rated the capital's air quality as very poor.
Picks up a single quite easily and gets to his 100, his 20th. His 5th versus Sri Lanka.
You could clearly see that two fast bowlers, I mean, fast bowling is a very high intensity activity, and you could clearly see that two guys were struggling to perform that activity. When it becomes unsafe, I think that's where the conversation started, because, as I say, the safety of the players is of paramount importance.
I think Virat batted close to 2 days. He didn't need a mask. And also, we are focused on what we need to do. We are very well focused on what we need to achieve as a team. So I think the conditions are the same for both. So we're not too bothered about.
And India will take on Germany in the third and the final pool match at the Hockey World League final in Bhubaneswar. India is currently at the bottom of the Pool B with just 1 point. Germany leads Pool B with 4 points. India opened their campaign at the 8-nation tournament against world champions and title holders Australia with a 1-all draw. In the second match, India lost 2-3 to England. In the first match of the Pool B, Australia will take on England today. Argentina, Netherlands and Belgium and Spain are in Pool A.
Finals 2017 and India are back from 2-0 down. It's 2-2 and it's that man Rupinder, Cedric.
Moves in line.
And that's it from me and my team in this edition of News. But news and updates continue on your channel. Thanks for watching.